the final video that I'm going to be uploading in the Joss playlist, which is kind of going to be a video more or less kind of showcasing potential fourth tier, because the Bloody Sword is the first part, the Gnomic Blade is the second part, the Ceramic Blade is kind of like the penultimate version of Joss build, which is the third part. And then I want to share a video showing essentially an entirely different version of the Joss build, but I'm going to kind of share it in that same playlist as a would-be fourth version. It's technically still a Joss build. I'm just slightly changing some things around that I'm not going to go and bother sharing by way of my community posts. On my first channel, I'll just kind of leave the video as is and people can see it for what it is. See the accessories. Excuse me that I have equipped, but I'm playing with the Rune Sword, which is a weapon you pick up from the chest atop the Thaumaturge factory in the game. And I believe you can also kind of substitute that for the Colossal Blade. Oh, cool! I think this is like I think I'm finally starting to get the Rune Sword. I think that's why I'm returning to the Chaos Shrine. That's cool. You'll get to see me play with that in Final Fantasy coming up here shortly. So that would be really cool as far as this game is concerned. But back to Fantasian. Long story short, I'm probably going to title that video something to the effect of like, bonus build / return to Shangri-La, because that's essentially what it is. After I successfully beat the Guardian, I told myself I wasn't going to return there ever to grind or do anything, but after kind of failing pretty hard in the first part of the Void Realm and fumbling my way through that, and then ultimately just getting obliterated in the middle Void Realm, I kind of returned to the whole just level 80 grind. I kind of am shuffling currently between the Hidden Valley Dimension battles and Shangri-La Dimension battles, but both of them are as fun as they are. There's an action delay mechanic that nearly a lot of those kind of yellow birds in the Hidden Valley can institute, which is something that you can't heal by way of like anything that my characters can do as far as resisting or curing. And then also the status ailment kind of healing blocks in the dimension don't heal the action delay effect. And if you get hit by that, when it happens a lot from those yellow kind of chocobo birds that you find in the Hidden Valley, it can just seem like, depending on who they hit, they can just like it's an action delay, so it delays your turn significantly. It's not something you can heal, and I'm sure it works both ways relative to what the enemy's doing and what happens when you reach your turn. But as subjective as it may be, it's incredibly annoying, and it actually sets up openings for the other enemies to do things like, if you're doing the Hidden Valley Dimension battles, a lot of those squeakers can use Berserk on you, and if you don't have a shield to block it, that's incredibly annoying on top of the action delay. And Shangri-La is what it is. I mean, it's incredibly difficult. Both areas I might return to once in a blue moon to just kind of spice things up and kind of test out how the build is working. The part 3 version of the Joss build with the Ceramic Blade. and just to kind of showcase it. There's a lot of cool moments in both of those areas that I had before I ultimately came to the conclusion earlier tonight that I'm probably going to return to the snowy area outside of the volcanic cavern where those chrysalids spawn. Those dimension battles are incredibly fun and relaxing. I feel like it showcases the ceramic blade version of the Joss build very beautifully, in that it's just a very comfortable and fun experience to play. The only thing that's really annoying, like the Hidden Valley dimension battles, the action delay and the kind of the berserk that the squeakers were doing after the action delay is kind of what made that, not unbearable, but just like, kind of wanted to get out of there after so many dimension battles. Shangri-La is kind of, it's, you never know what you're going to get. From a lot of the enemies there use the ceiling mechanic, which means, they block your ability to use magic. They have a berserk there as well. Shields are getting broken in both places, just left and right. So that's another reason I want to return to the snowy area outside of the volcanic cavern. And on top of the fact that, the Hidden Valley and Shangri-La dimension battles are unique in a way where it can be rather annoying for farming sake, albeit for experience or just to test builds. That's one reason I'm returning to. Have I gotten the sword yet? I haven't. You'll see. Yeah, I got it. That's what the sword looks like, the rune sword. But kind of like, back to what I was doing, what I was saying is that, Shangri-La and Hidden Valley, there's probably going to be days, like for instance, like right before I put Fantasian down here recently to play Legend of Heroes, I went back to like the Omega Shaft to play with Zeniker and Tan. They weren't even dimension battles. I was just running outside of the Omega Shaft, and I did like 2 or 3 battles in the overworld just to test, just to play and just to see what would happen. That's an area that exists too that I probably won't be returning to, only because I kind of wore the Omega Shaft out earlier in the game, as I did with Shangri-La to a lesser extent at the start of the level 80 grind playlist. And then here recently, it's not like I've burnt out the Hidden Valley. It's incredibly fun. It's got one of the best music soundtracks in the game when you're not doing a dimension battle, just running around over there. And the same can be said for Bernard's Laboratory, but I'm already kind of burnt out because the action delay mechanic is, is what it is. So I'll be returning to that area. I'll get the name of that area, so I'm just not calling it the snowy area outside of the volcanic cavern all the time. But I have a feeling that's where I'm going to be doing a majority of my grinding, in large part because it's fun. The dimension battles are incredibly relaxing and enjoying. The chrysalids, I believe, have a very, 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 very low chance to drop Deuce Augite, which means I can potentially try to upgrade Ragnarok in the process, even though were I to do that, I still probably won't ever be putting the ceramic blade down. But, that's where I'll be picking up with the level 80 grind.